Alright, so we left off here, so let's move forward. How did Zoroastrianism influence later beliefs? Well, the big idea here is that we're looking at Judaism, Christianity, and Islam gaining the influence of that there's possibly this idea that there's only one God out there rather than the many. The bigger issues, though, personally for me, is that you have these other faiths that came before it, making it seem that people don't have a choice, that their lives can't be controlled by their actions or their choices, that there's this fate put upon them, whether it was because of a curse or a karma or something that's out of their control, that is their fate and it's sealed. But this new idea that there's this supreme God that's created us, but that has given us the gift of choice and given us the gift of having a soul and a body, and that there's a concept of heaven and hell, is a new way of thinking. So this idea, although Zoroastrianism itself is not popular, the ideas behind it, in which it was created, are seen in many relevant belief systems today. Which, going back to this, actually is going to further influence later belief systems, because it's going to make followers more appealed to it, because it is in their hands and they are in control, and it will help the other faiths gain momentum in their spreads. Okay, so as I started with this whole video, was that Alexander the Great was going to put final end to the Achaemenid Empire, and after Alexander the Great dies, his empire also falls, and it splits up into three. And what you might know already is that some of his generals will take over each piece of his empire. But what you don't know is that those three empires will lead to these, which is the Seleucid, the Sassanid, and the Safavids. And over time, Islam will take shape here. The Seleucid Empire will rise after Alexander the Great's empire fell, obviously, but then it's going to fade when Rome becomes expansive. The Sassanid was the last pre-Islamic Persian empire, and it's going to get overthrown by an Arab caliphate, which we're going to learn about in our next chapters when we get back from the break. What's important to know is that the Greco-Macedonian or the Greco-Roman culture is going to exist here, or mostly Greece. And then the Safavid Islamic dynasty of Iran will become, I think, the most out of the three, the most successful dynasty out of the three of them. And this is where we're going to see the gunpowder empire, as it was nicknamed, because it popularizes gunpowder, and it's also going to be known for its Shiite Islam, which we'll talk about in later chapters. So what have we learned? We learned about Zoroastrianism and its spread. We've learned that Cyrus the Great was tolerant in many ways, mostly in the way that he enabled people to feel comfortable and grow, as far as freeing them from some sort of constraints that they experienced on their societies prior to him coming in, or whether it was languages being spoken with diversity across the empire. We also know that amongst this expansive land, we see transregional commercial connections being established, and that's through a system of roads, coins, not setting up trade barriers or tolls. Maybe there were tolls, actually, but it's allowing for different resources from different areas to be encouraged in trade and travel. There was a peace to it. If throughout this entire empire there was a lot of violence and stopping of travel trade and commerce would not have happened to the degree that it did. So keep that in mind. The bureaucratic system that was set up was based off of loyalty. Obviously, if the people that were designated responsibilities weren't loyal, then it's quite possible that a lot of these emperors would not have been as powerful as we remember them in our history. So stay tuned. Byzantine Empire, if you'd like it, may come to you in a theater near you. Alright, good night.